Okay, LeBron James, he loves signing those one-year deals where he can opt out. Did it twice when you were there. But how much pressure does that put on the front office, the fact that he can get out of his contract basically annually?
I think it puts the organization in a really difficult position. And I think it puts ownership in a very difficult position. And the reason is that it makes it so that you make a series of short-sighted win-now deals. You don't have the ability to build a team organically. And if, when LeBron came back, he would have said, listen, I'm going to be here 4 years or I'm going to be here for the rest of my career, it makes it so that you could build in a much more sustainable way. So unfortunately, the way it's been done and putting him in the position where he could do that and decide those things, you really put him in a position where it was much harder to put winning pieces around him. Mm-hmm. You know, he almost cut off his nose to spite his face in some ways. He could have had all that same flexibility contractually and still told the team, I'm here.
Right.
And I think that makes it harder, for sure.
With LeBron, there's a perception outside of the franchise that no matter whoever has the title of Cavs GM, the real GM there is LeBron. Is that true? And if not, why does that perception exist in the NBA world?
Well, no, I mean, it's not true at all.
So you weren't always having to run things by LeBron, because that's what people think.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to have that role. He doesn't really want to do those things. You know, he is obsessed with winning basketball games. What he wanted to do was lead the guys in the locker room and be as good as he can possibly be. He spends more time on his body and getting himself mentally and physically right than any player I've ever seen. So he didn't want the burden of any of those things. The reason people perceive that is because he was on one-year deals, because he is the best player of his generation, and the natural assumption is they won't do anything to upset him.
Right.
So if they do that, he must want that. And the reality is there were several things we did because it was the right thing to do. And certainly I would go to him and say, listen, this is why we're going to do that. Just as I did with Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving, we were raising a family. And so we were definitely involving everybody in what that family was going to look like. But Bron never made any demands like that. There was never a time where LeBron said, I want X, Y, Z. And if we did ever have conversations from a basketball perspective, the guy's a savant. So you want his input.
Right.
You wouldn't be doing your job if you weren't listening to the guy. So we talked a lot, and we talked to a lot of our players. But I think it's really unfair that he gets that reputation, particularly as it pertains to the front office component of it. You'll see him within a course of a game doing some real heavy lifting from a coaching perspective. Yeah. And Steve Nash would often do the exact same thing in Phoenix, where he's really sort of putting everything in a way that the players can understand it and digest it. But he wasn't trying to be the coach either. So I just think he gets a bum rap because of the fact that he was on one-year deals, and because it's a natural assumption that you're going to do what the guy wants to do because you want him to come back.